Hi, everybody. I am Jamaica Holloway, the artist in residence here at the Charleston Gilliard Center, and welcome to Raising the Volume. Today, I have the privilege of being able to introduce to you all the brilliant designers on Finding Freedom, the journey of Robert Smalls. I'm going to start here with you, Carla. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I am Carla Thomas, better known as Fly Carla. I am a costume designer, wardrobe stylist from Baltimore. I was cultivated at Howard University, and now I'm thriving in Brooklyn.
Love it.
Oh, and I'm the assistant costume designer on Finding Freedom.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm Charlton Singleton. I am from the 10-mile community of Allendale, South Carolina, here in the Low Country. I am a professional musician, and I am the music director in Finding Freedom.
And my cousin.
And you're my cousin.
Hi, friend.
I'm Joseph Amodi. I use they and them pronouns. I am the video media designer for this production, and I grew up in North Carolina in Chapel Hill and Durham, and now I live in Pennsylvania, where I teach media design to young people, college students.
Love it.
Good morning, I'm Kathy Perkins. I'm lighting designer on the show. I'm originally from Mobile, Alabama, but I've lived all over the country. I'm so excited to be working on this show, and words can't express how excited I am.
It's been a pleasure.
Hey, I'm Matthew Tapp. I'm the assistant media designer and camera operator for the live video, and I am super excited to be here.
Okay, tell us where you're from.
I'm from Sherall, South Carolina. And not a lot of people know that little town, but it's a fun little place. And we have a Robert Smalls Elementary School too, so yeah.
Okay, this is so great. So this is gonna be a conversation, because that's what we do best, just be in conversation with one another. So I just wanna start off thanking you all for all of your contributions on the show. I think last night, well, this entire week, with the students getting a chance to see the show and then having our public performances last night, I think all of the hard work that we have done has paid off, and this labor of love is really standing on its own 2 feet, and it's just making me so happy. So I just want to start off by asking, I want to start with you, Charlton. Tell us a little bit about being the music director on this show.
Well, the first thing about being the music director is understanding the period. And it just so happens that where we are geographically is, and what the piece is about, and Robert growing up in Beaufort, that's kind of the heart of the Gullah community. And if anybody is not familiar with the Gullah community, it's a set of islands that stretch from the southern part of North Carolina and it goes down to the top of Florida. But around the Beaufort area and sort of that border of South Carolina and Georgia, the people refer to the Georgia Sea Islands. That's kind of the epicenter of the Gullah community. And so musically, we have a lot of historic songs and traditions that come from the Gullah community during that time and during that or in that specific area. So it was very easy, because of what I do now in one of the bands that I play in, where we specialize in Gullah music. It was easy to sort of take some of the material that is historically known and to put it into the show, or at least give you some ideas and some things to ponder. And we were very blessed to have a cast that was so versatile that they could sing as well as act. Along with Tristan, who's not on the panel with us right now, but with the movement and everything, it really came together pretty well, I thought, yes.
I love that. I remember one day I called you, I said, Charlton, we wanted to use You Better Mind.
Right.
Which you all have also recorded with Ranky Tanky. And I said, but we want to remix it a little bit, and so we want to change the words so it fits Robert's story a little bit more. And you were like, okay, that's exactly what we do in Gullah music.
It's exactly what we do, and it's all about adapting. And the cast did a fantastic job with it, literally on the spot. I remember thinking, well, we're gonna switch this up again, but then they got it. When we switched it up, which goes to show just how brilliant the cast and the team really adapted to everything.
Yeah, it was incredibly fun too. I think what you did with Wade in the Water, and we'll get to talking to everybody about it, but that composition it's the heartbeat of this show.
It is.
God's gonna trouble
The
the
water,
water.
made everything. It all came together like that. Yes.
Yeah, so just love that so much. The last thing I wanted to ask you about the music, the other thing, I think we also play, we have 3 different versions of Wade in the Water.
Correct.
In the show. Talk to us a little bit about that process, because we have the trumpet version, we have a choral version, and then and we also have the a cappella version that we hear at the top of the show.
Right. Well, all of that again plays into the whole Gullah narrative of on different islands and different villages. You know, you have a lot of people that may have their version of this. It could be a certain note that they sing higher on this particular word. It could be when they get into the Gullah clap, you know, how soon they get into that. And so because of that whole nugget of it being varied, you know, from village to village. And so having those different versions of the song at different points gave different meaning. It's the same song, it's the same words, but they could have different meanings.
Absolutely.
And that was very special about Wade in the Water, especially with Robert, you know, the pilot.
Yes,
you know, so
and the song sort of became this prayer for us throughout the show. God's going to trouble the
Exactly,
water, and so I just
exactly.
love that. I think we all had such a great time working on the commandeering scene with the water. So let's also, Jojo, let's talk about a little bit about what some of your inspirations were in creating this world, and I want to specifically talk about the commandeering scene, because I think we played around with a lot of different ideas. Some made the stage and some didn't, but I think we had a lot of like light bulb moments at the beginning of this, and so it's just been fun to see how it's all sort of realized itself. And I just want to talk to you a little bit about some inspirations that you brought to the project as we were building up our research canon for Robert Smalls. And it's a lot.
Well, so the media design, which is the projections, the video, the live camera, the interactive responsiveness of the effects and the stage, they're doing a couple things, you know? So they're sort of helping us find time and place as we move through all these different locations and all these different decades. And you know, in this case, I was really inspired by the work of Jonathan Green and sort of a lot of the sort of vibrancy of color and sort of brush strokes that a lot of these artists have, and that was sort of evident across everyone's designs. You know, in the costumes, in the lighting, anywhere there was color, we were all pulling in all these sort of bright colors, and so I was using those throughout the show in various different ways. And so that's one thing. It's like the setting, the place, pictures of the water, actual paintings, images that I created that Matthew and I created inspired by these sort of styles to sort of fit the needs, and then blending this live camera work on top of it. And sort of the idea for this live camera work is sort of the other 2 folds of this design. It's to sort of like uplift the community around Robert Smalls. You know, it's deeply connected to the movement. So the video cameras are capturing all of the bodies of the performers dancing and singing and clapping together, and sort of remediating them into the sort of more landscape backdrops, and sort of that sort of creates this sense of history, you know, and the entire community involved to help Robert Smalls accomplish what he was doing in finding freedom. And lastly, it's sort of like the sort of cameras are used to sort of like give us these sort of close-ups. It's a big space in here, you know. You can probably hear the echo if they don't edit it out. You know, so when you have such a large space, you know, a lot of these moments are sort of like these quiet moments of intimacy and closeness and looking out over the water, of dreaming of the future. And so the live camera being incorporated into this means we get to see these sort of expressions up close, and we get to feel them, and we get to get like right there next to Robert and Hannah and everyone else. And so all of those elements come together in the sort of stealing of the planter moment, you know?
Yeah.
We have these sort of looping animation effects that sort of take us through the dawn of night into early morning, and then that's in close collaboration with Kathy to sort of blend all the colors.
And the movement too, like working with Tristan and the choreography to sort of, you know, to capture those moments where they were meeting the forts.
Yeah.
And it was so fun too.
Exactly, and so all of that dance, like, you know, none of this media works if there's not, if the cameras can't see with the lights and the actors aren't moving with Tristan's, and there's not music to sort of connect it all together. And so the cameras remediate that on top of everything else, and sort of are in and of themselves this collaborative effort.
I love that. Let's talk a little bit about process too, because you all got to be in the room. We got to be in the room and really allow some of the ideas to just come to us in the moment. And let's talk a little bit about y'all's process with working with one another, because JoJo was away for a little while. Matthew was sort of your ears on the ground. And let's talk about how we sort of translated some of those ideas, because I would have these big moments in rehearsal like, Matthew, oh my God, I got this great idea. And then you just so calmly just take it and then come back the next day after you've talked with JoJo, and we'd have a plan about how we'd explore it.
Yeah, I remember specifically the planter sequence, and we were going through that, and you came up to me and just so excited to put that together, and I'm glad we were able to throw it together using some new tools, media creation, and some of that video generation stuff, and especially with the commandeering scene, those waves in the water and trying to get that Jonathan Green paint strokes on it and everything. And I think it came together quite well. The collaborative effort was crazy, going back and forth and pulling all these inspirations from Jonathan, talking with JoJo and pulling it all together. I had my head in a computer for most of the rehearsals, so.
It was really nice.
Yeah,
it was really
a lot
fun
of
to
fun.
work with you and every day. And Kathy, so your work and JoJo's work, media and lighting, and there's some worlds in which they found themselves competing, I think, on stage, but we were able to really find this complementary balance. Let's talk a little bit about your design too, and how you were able to be in relationship with some of the media that was happening, how the lighting was in relationship to the media that we had on stage.
Yeah, it's always the biggest challenge for me in any lighting designer. Our job really doesn't start until we get into the space, because I really need to see Joseph had shown me what, on his computer, but seeing it in the space, and luckily we had worked together before, yes. So we had a really good rhythm, and I would have like one color sky and his would be different, and we would have to oh, this is the nighttime scene, this is the daytime scene. So yeah, we had to, I don't want to say compromise. I mean, we did it in a...
Well, we did. I think we all negotiated a lot of things.
We compromised, but it was in a very positive way, and I love the idea that I ended up projecting on his projection.
Yes. I love
wait,
all
I'm
those
project
moments.
on the site, but the drop is in the way. So that worked well. And then hearing the music for me, like I said, so much for lighting is once we get into the space.
Yeah.
And, hearing that wade in the water at the very beginning, it's like, oh, I need the effects of waves.
Absolutely.
As we go through that scene.
Yeah.
So.
I think your process too, Kathy, and I've sort of learned, we've worked together a couple times now, and then just knowing you, your process is very collaborative. I think one of the things, like Kathy's always trying to get everybody on the phone all the time to get answers and to get clarity, and I just love that so much. And why is that important to your process for folks who don't know?
Well, I mean, as the lighting person, I tie everything together, I help determine the mood along with video and everything else in sound, but I determine as a lighting designer what you see, when you see it, how you see it, and everything. So I really need to know what's going on. And also in terms of costumes. So.
Absolutely, too. And I know that one of your specialties is also lighting people of color, lighting melanated skin. And so let's talk about what are some of the tones that you bring in to really pop out?
I hate to, people always looking for a specific formula. What is the formula? Mm-hmm. I don't really have a formula. And I tend to use what's called complementary colors, and these are colors that will all mix to white. And that's how I was taught by the famous Shirley Pendergrass. She said, if you use complementary colors, you can light anybody. And I always tell people will say, well, how do you light a black cast? And I said, I've never, as far as I'm concerned, it's always a multiracial cast. Mm-hmm. I went to an HBCU, I never lit a group of black people that were always the same color.
Yeah.
I mean, we come colors.
All shades.
From Charlton to Matthew.
Truly.
So it's always a multiracial cast for me.
I love that.
The hair might be a problem. Blonde, I didn't have to like blondes when I was in, but yeah.
I keep bring it back to the commandeering thing, because I think that is a place where so much of the worlds really collided. But I know that like lighting and media, we were all really leaning into like what the crescendos and the momentum of the music to create something that really held this tension and that had this quality of danger and anticipation. And it's so nice to see all of those elements come together. I love that you said, listening to the music is also one of the ways that you contextualize the lighting.
And one of the things I wish I would have had, the next production, it's dance. Tristan said, "Do you have any side lighting for dance?" It's like, no, I can't do it in here. But you know,
Next time we'll have it.
Next time we'll have it.
I love it. Tristan's not here, but you know, for folks who'll get a chance to see the show, so much of what we've done with that commandeering scene is a slight ode to Alvin Ailey and his Revelations dance performance. It just really always was this beacon of just excellence for me as an artist, and so to see us like have nods to it on the stage just means so much. Now, Carla, you're here, Fly Girl Carla. It's so good. So okay, so first I want you to tell us a little bit about like what it is that you do as costume designer, and then also I want you to do uplift Celeste a little bit while you know, tell us a little bit about the designer that you were working with.
Yes, so Celeste Jennings is the costume designer. And I came on board after Celeste has pretty much designed the whole piece. And I thought that she just did such a great job of just storytelling through costumes, which is what a costume designer does. Like, how do I tell this story through clothes? And this is, so I normally do television and film, but most of my stuff has been contemporary. So this is the first project that it was like a period piece. And so just to really, well, I do period pieces, but they call period pieces like 2005.
Sure,
you
yeah,
know?
absolutely.
Like,
It's so funny because it is.
Because it is a period, but you know, like this is like, you know, a real period piece. So just with Celeste and her designs, like what did like enslaved people wear, you know, and why did they wear it? Like, and what was their access to clothes? You know, like how did they make the clothes? Where did the fabric come from? You know, the difference between someone who worked in the house, someone who worked in the fields. So I think Celeste just did a really great job of showing the differences of you know, what Lydia wore, you know. And then she also did what I think was a very beautiful, and it's so like specific, is that she did ombre with the
Roberts.
with the Roberts.
Yes.
And I was like, you know, I feel like at first glance you probably wouldn't even see it, but just really understanding that, you know, little Robert looked different. Robert looked you know, older Robert, and then, you know, Keith as the oldest, you know, looked different, but they all kind of like flowed together.
So I love that so much. That was one of my favorite things too about Celeste's design, is just to see the maturation of the costumes and the nods too to just like these different aspects of Gullah culture, you know, the Haint blue, and so being able to bring in all of the vibrancy too of the Gullah culture into the costume design. I think was just so magical. So we've got like the color head wraps and things, and we've got Hannah's popping out in yellow, just because even though we know that they were you know, oppressed people, they
still had style. They still figured out a way to express themselves. So I really love the detail. I thought that, you know, Lydia was in like this 2-piece set, which is just great, and then her head wrap kind of complements it. And then just with the sail, what I like working in theater is that it's very technical, and so just how Celeste, we just struggled with the sailor collars. It's like, because first it was just like flapping all over the place in the commandeering scene, and then we really had to like hunker down and figure out like how can we get this one piece that is very significant, because it has to look like they are on a boat. So here's a sailor collar without like you know, a blatant sailor hat.
Yes.
You know, and so it's like how do you make that just stay there? And that was just a little complicated piece, but yeah, I think it just all came together really, really well, and I think it just told a really great story through the costumes.
I agree. And also just wanted to uplift Celeste, and who's not with us, and also Tristan Andre Parks, who was our movement director, and also Preston Donovan, who's in the audience right now watching us, but not on stage. But Preston did the sound design for us, and I said this to him yesterday. It just really elevated so much. I think even what we did in the commandeering scene, and to have you know, the stacks and the sound of like the steamers really uplifting and adding this extra quality to it. And I'm just so grateful to you, Preston, for all the work that you did on the show. I just want to sort of end with like asking, what was your favorite part of working on the show? Matthew, we'll start with you.
It's got to be the commandeering. I mean, the mix of those waves and the live camera that JoJo was projecting out there. I mean, during the show, I'm on camera, so while the actors are out here dancing, I'm having to sort of dance with them with the camera to follow their beats and everything, and that just had to be my favorite part. I get emotional every time it comes on. So.
Yeah, I remember hearing JoJo ask you sometimes in rehearsal to sort of move the camera so that we could get that effect of the moving waves. And it was just so, it was so effective. And I loved sort of getting that insider ear into your world a little bit more. I think, so often, directorially, my focus is here. But to be getting these like insider combos from y'all was also really special. Yeah. Kathy.
I don't have a specific favorite scene. I guess I would say the commandeering would be one, but just the scenes leading up from, I love the scene with Robert and Hannah, the moonlight scene.
I love that. That's one of my favorites too.
Any of the scenes down at the harbor, and of course I love the battle scene, the beginning of the the Civil War. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah.
JoJo.
Wow, if I have to pick one moment, it's tough. I mean, let's see. I mean, I love being in the rehearsal room. I love making art with the people I'm doing it with, and like that's a huge part of it. The first time I heard the kids scream when we first opened, when the lights go down and they just light up, and that's amazing. I'm like, all right, this is what it's been the focus of my design like the whole time, knowing that was what's coming. But within the show, the harbor scene, so Robert and Hannah have this sort of like I sort of call it the date night scene in my notes, and they sort of it's right downstage, and they sort of like are holding this small pair of lamps, having this sort of stolen, sort of soft moment where they hold each other, and there's a starry sky projection over the harbor, and then as they start dreaming of being free, which we'll come to see at this moment again at the end of the play, the camera picks them up and blends them into the night sky, and then Robert invokes something that his mom would always say, thinking about freedom, and the camera cuts, and we sort of see Robert's mom emerge into the night sky, and then that fades away, and then it's back to the two of them just there at the harbor, just looking out. And I like the softness
I'm pretty proud of
that
moment too.
Yeah, audience love that scene.
Yes, I love it too. That's so great. Charlton.
A number of them. Was it the
Ashdale, yes.
Yes,
when they went to Lydia's home.
Right, the Ashdale scene. And being able to incorporate a mashup of songs.
Yes.
And we were able to throw in the chorus of some very well-known Gullah standards, as we call them. One of which is a song that my grandfather sort of adapted to be his song. One of the things, one of the Gullah traditions is seeking. And when you seek, you literally go into the woods and you find your spirituality. And my grandfather's song is this song that he calls Mary Weep, Martha Mourn, but part of Watch That Star is in there. And being able to dream, when you're looking, watching that star. And having the stick,
Charlton, first of all, that moment was, when I remember us coming in about an hour before the actors got there, you, me, and Tristan.
Yeah, right.
And working out that scene and it being one thing, but to see like what it turned out to be, just with all of the different iterations, it was just a magical collaborative moment.
More evolution of the whole thing.
Absolutely.
Everything that we've all talked about, there was totally a starting point and a big evolution. And it's the same thing about the story as well. But that scene with all of the movement and Tristan just reinventing. At one point I said, you know what, Tristan is so talented, we're never gonna get this finished because he's always gonna come up with another idea.
Oh, yeah.
It was just awesome how the cast adapted so great to it. And being when we had the first student performance is for when you hear that beat, that rhythm, that gullah rhythm that may sound just like a common thing to everybody, but it goes to the narrative of how gullah has influenced so many things all over the world for so many years. Everybody in the audience starts clapping and doing the rhythm, and they jump into it.
Yes.
And it's just a natural thing to do. So
Yes.
that was one of my favorite parts.
Oh my goodness! Last night, speaking of, when the cast started to sing "Amazing Grace," the audience, they sung along. It was so beautiful. It was a gorgeous moment. I knew that song meant so much to South Carolina. I mean, to Black folks in general, and then specifically South Carolina, Charleston. And so I loved all of those moments where we were bringing in ideas, and we were just always on the same wavelength about what needed to be happening. So great, Carla.
I think my favorite moment is just Robert Smalls, Keith, in that suit. He just looks so good. And it's such a fly suit. Like the tailoring is just amazing. The color is just amazing. And he looks so good. It's like, what does a man who has like freed his family and become like a Senate man, like what does he wear? What does that look like? And then also, how does it tell a story and resonate to young people? Like I feel like the color is just very significant as opposed to it just being like a black suit. The color just makes it fun, it makes it poppin', it makes it really exciting to see him, and just I think it just it's a testament to like his personality. Like he's loud. He said that people called him a busybody, and it's so much fun just to see him. It fits Keith so well, just like the bow tie and his glasses, when he puts on his glasses so you can see the audience. I think that's like my favorite moment because it's just a really great, well-designed, well-made suit that just fits his personality.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say so too. I think that's one of my favorite things about the show was just how personable we were able to make Robert Smalls. I think so often folks are able to detach themselves from history because they aren't able to see the sort of those contemporary, relevancies, and so to make him come across as like an uncle, somebody that you could be at your family table joking and laughing around with. I think one of my favorite lines that he has is when he says sharp, when he's just like, this suit is sharp, because I think that's something we all have like said or heard our parents say, that's sharp, you sharp. And so I just really love that. And I think, that was just so important to me too, that like we made Robert Smalls human. And not just a hero, but he was somebody that everybody could relate to, no matter what your status is in the history books. And so I'm just so grateful. Thank you all so much for your work on the show. This is our success. And I said it the first day we started rehearsal, that there was a conversation with this work that only this group of people was going to be able to have with the play. And I think that we were able to have it. I think that we had it, and it was so expansive, and sometimes it was challenging, but we kept the conversation going. We kept working things out, and I truly think Robert Smalls is somewhere in that great cloud of witnesses, just elated and so proud. And so I'm just so grateful. Thank you all so much for spending this time with me on Raising the Volume.
Thank you for your direction and enthusiasm and your vision, and putting all of this together.
The next one is coming. This is a dream team. I think, from backstage to front of house, really just such a dream team. And Misha Balams, also our scenic designer, designed this beautiful set that folks will see when they come see the show. Would be so remiss if I didn't mention Misha's contributions. I said to her in her card yesterday that she is the real MVP. She really created, helped us, like she gave us a playground, a world to exercise our crafts in, and I'm so grateful. So we have to do it again. We have to do it again. I would link up with y'all anytime, anywhere, for any project. And at the end of the day, for me, this has always been more than just another play. And really this moment of reverence for one of our great ancestors. And I'm so happy that we all did this together, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in to Raising the Volume.
Yeah, Tuesday I put a button on it.